Hello movie buffs, my name is Steve, aka NJMovieFreak, and today we're going to talk about my late mom and I's most tubular, awesome, gnarly 80s teen film, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Fast Times at Ridgemont High was written by Cameron Crowe and directed by Amy Heckerling. You might be familiar with some of her work, such as Look Who's Talking, National Lampoon's European Vacation, and Clueless. Fast Times doesn't exactly stand toe-to-toe with John Hughes in terms of teen classics, but it definitely has an originality, which was never seen before, that can hold its own in the 80s. This film at that time as well had some really unknown actors who grew up to have great careers, such as Sean Penn, Phoebe Cates, Judge Reinhold, Forrest Whitaker, and Nicolas Cage.
I lost my hand! I lost my bride! I said, put the bunny back in the box. It's the counting stone. There's a promise I can't make to you.
No comment. Fast Times at Ridgemont High follows various groups of teens in the 80s with their lives consistently crossing paths both inside and outside of the hormone-infused high school despite being from different social circles. Jeff Spicoli, a carefree stoner, spends most of his days smoking and goofing off. Brad is juggling both work and relationship pressures, while his naive younger sister Stacy takes her own path under the guidance of her rather licentious friend, Linda. Mark Ratner takes an interest in Stacy, but then his friend Mike Damone throws a wrench into the entire mix when he meets her. Fast Times at Ridgemont High was released into theaters on August 13, 1982, nearly 40 years ago. If you haven't seen it by now, well, what can I say? Spoilers, dude! Brad Hamilton is a popular senior at Ridgemont High School and looks forward to his final year of school. He has a job at All-American Burger, almost his 1960 Buick LeSabre car paid for, and plans to break up with his girlfriend Lisa so he can be completely eligible during his senior year. His perfect life is threatened after an exchange with an obnoxious customer resulting in his firing from All-American Burger. When Brad tries to tell Lisa how much he needs her, she informs him that she wants to break up with him to date other guys. Brad's sister Stacy is a high school sophomore and a virgin. She works at a pizza parlor at Ridgemont Mall alongside her outspoken older friend Linda Barrett. One night at work, Stacy takes an order from a stereo salesman who asks her out. She later sneaks out of her house for a date with him and loses her virginity that night in a dugout of a baseball field. She later tells Linda about the experience, stating how much it hurt. Linda offers advice to Stacy on the matter, which she often does, as the more worldly and experienced of the two. Mike Damone is a smooth talker who earns money taking sports bets and scalping concert tickets. His shy best friend Mark Ratner works as an assistant to the assistant manager at the movie theater across from the pizza parlor at the mall. When Mark develops a crush on Stacy, Damone lets Mark in on some of the secrets for picking up girls. Damone later persuades Mark to ask Stacy out on a date to a German restaurant. Afterwards, at her home, Stacy invites Mark into her bedroom, where they look at her photo album together. They begin to kiss, but a nervous Mark leaves after Stacy attempts to seduce him. She mistakenly interprets his shyness as disinterest. Linda quickly advises her to move on and find another boy. After he drops by her house unannounced, Stacy becomes interested in Damone. She invites him to her pool, which quickly leads to them having sex in the pool house. Her brother Brad, who has become withdrawn since his breakup with Lisa and the loss of his job, is caught pleasuring himself in the bathroom by Linda after he fantasizes about her exposing herself to him at the pool. Stacy later informs Damone that he has gotten her pregnant and that she asked him to cover half the cost of the abortion and provide her with the ride to the clinic. However, he is unable to come up with his half despite attempts to call in debts owed from his business dealings and abandons Stacy on the day of her appointment. When Stacy tells Linda that Damone abandoned her and did not pay his half, Linda becomes furious. The next day, Mark confronts Damone about his involvement with Stacy. They almost get into a fight, but their gym teacher breaks it up. Jeff Spicoli is a carefree stoner and surfer who tests the patience of his history teacher, Mr. Hand. One night during a joyride with his friend, Spicoli wrecks the Chevrolet Camaro of Ridgemont star football player Charles Jefferson. Spicoli covers up the damage by making it look like the car was destroyed by fans of Ridgemont sports rival Lincoln High School. When Ridgemont plays Lincoln, Jefferson, furious about his car, brutally tackles several of Lincoln's players and almost single-handedly wins the game. On the evening of the graduation dance, Mr. Hand visits Spicoli's house and informs him that he must make up the 8 hours of class time he has wasted over the school year. They have a history lesson that lasts until Mr. Hand is satisfied that Spicoli has understood the lesson, and the two show that they have respect for each other. Fast Times is an insightful look at high school, a teen's first job, difficult teachers, and everything that comes with the territory of being a teenager in the 80s. Between Cameron Crowe's script and Amy Heckerling's directing style, it depicts several moments of honesty within the lives of a few select people trying to find their identity and place in the world. This film stands on its own, as it encapsulates the period and the universal representation of the teenage culture of the 1980s. Number 1. While he was a freelance writer for Rolling Stone magazine, why does that sound strangely familiar? While he was a freelance writer for Rolling Stone magazine, Cameron Crowe went undercover to Claremont High School in San Diego, California, to pose as one of the teenagers in order to collect facts for a book called Fast Times at Ridgemont High, a true story. It was actually published in 1981. Number 2. Crowe actually based the character of Mark Ratner off of then Claremont High School student Andy Rathbone. Rathbone eventually went on to become rich and famous for publishing a lot of the For Dummies books about computer programs.
What are you people? On dope?
I'm sorry, what were you saying? Number 3. Fast Times at Ridgemont High was actually Amy Heckerling's directorial debut. She was hired to direct Fast Times because of her AFI thesis film, Getting It Over With, which was about a 19-year-old girl trying to lose her virginity before she turned 20. Number 4. Then 20-year-old Jennifer Jason Leigh took a job at the actual Perry's Pizza in the Sherman Oaks Galleria Mall, where parts of the movie were shot, in order for her to get into the character of Stacy. Bonus fact: the Sherman Oaks Galleria Mall was also featured in other movies such as Commando, The Chopping Mall, and Back to the Future 2. Number 5. Nicolas Cage made his big screen debut with Fast Times as Brad's bud. Cage was originally supposed to play Brad, but the filmmakers relegated him to the background role after his improvisations during the audition process seemed a little too weird. The credits list Cage as Nicholas Coppola. He later changed his name to avoid being accused of favoritism due to him being the nephew of director Francis Ford Coppola. Come on, folks, The Godfather. Number 6. Sean Penn, always being a method actor, stayed in character during the film's entire shoot. He forced everyone on set to call him Spicoli, and he wouldn't answer to anything else. Number 7. Fast Times at Ridgemont High is Best Actor Oscar winner Forrest Whitaker's first film. He portrays the enraged football player Charles Jefferson. Now that guy has got a really nice car. He looks like he's keeping up with it.
Don't with it.
Number 8. Fred Gwynne, known for his roles in Car 54 Where Are You?, Herman Munster and the Munsters, and Judge Chamberlain Haller in My Cousin Vinny, was originally offered the role of Mr. Hand, but turned it down because he was not comfortable with teenage sex and drug use in the script. I guess he didn't understand 80s youth.
What is a ute?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. The youths. Number 9. In tradition with E.T. the Extraterrestrial and Reese's Pieces, this movie product placed an obscure brand of shoes, and at the time, they became a hit. The checkerboard canvas decks known as Vans.
Listen up. That was my skull!
Number 10. Originally, Amy Heckerling wanted to leave the film with an open ending, but Universal Studios mandated she end the movie with updates for each character, just like in American Graffiti and Animal House. I would have to give Fast Times at Ridgemont High 5 out of 5 stars. Reason being is that Fast Times is one of those films that you can watch anytime. It's a film that is just timeless, and it definitely does stand toe-to-toe with John Hughes films such as The Breakfast Club, Weird Science, and 16 Candles. I'm not going to say it's better or worse, but it is definitely up there in terms of originality. It's one of my favorite 80s films, and it was one of my mother's favorite 80s films. We would watch it every time we had a chance. If she was here right now, I know she would agree with me that this is one of the best films ever to come out of the 80s.
Yeah. Aloha, Mr. Hand.
Aloha, Spicoli.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High was put out on a couple different formats, and today I'm going to talk about the Universal release of the Blu-ray and the Criterion release of the 4K restoration Blu-ray. The Universal release came out in 2011. It's a really great upgrade in terms of HD imaging, the sound. It's got a documentary featuring the cast and crew called Reliving Our Fast Times at Ridgemont High, has commentary by the director and screenwriter, and a theatrical trailer. This is a really great version to have if you really want to see the movie and you don't want like anything special, just the movie. This is the way to go. But if you're a huge fan like me and you love classic films that are restored, especially upgrade to 4K, you got to go with Fast Times at Ridgemont High from Criterion Collection. Now, Criterion is a company out of New York that restores both in classic and contemporary films to near mint condition. This has been upgraded to 4K, and I have to say, between the audio and the visual, it just makes the film look near perfect. You still see a lot of the grain because, of course, it was shot in 35mm, but the fact that the film restorers did such a great job of cleaning up the film cells that you can barely tell there was any dirt to begin with. Just a really good restoration. This is actually director approved with special features. It was supervised by director Amy Heckerling. It's got the 1999 audio commentary, which is also in the Universal release. It's got a television version of the film from the 80s, a new conversation with Heckerling and Crow, moderated by filmmaker Olivia Wilde. I love Olivia Wilde. Tron. Whew. The 1999 documentary, Reliving Our Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which is also on a Universal Blu-ray. An audio discussion from 1982 with Heckerling and the American Film Institute. Again, like I said in the bonus facts, that the reason why Heckerling was picked to direct this film is because she was writing a film about a girl who wanted to lose her virginity by the age 20. And this has got the discussion from 1992, so that's really cool. And it's got a new introduction by Crow and an essay by film critic Dana Stevens. I also have to give a shout out to my cousin, Eric Lutz, who works as a digital film restorer at Criterion in New York. What up, cuz? I would definitely recommend either one of these versions, the Blu-ray by Universal or the Blu-ray by Criterion, but me personally, I go with Criterion. Love this company, love their work, and for a film almost 40 years old and one of my favorites, one of my mother's favorites, you gotta go with Criterion, #1 right here. Now, for most of you that have watched my channel and you see my reviews, you know I really don't talk about the soundtracks too much, and I concentrate mostly on visual, audio, behind the scenes, and whatnot. But for Fast Times at Ridgemont High, I gotta talk about the soundtrack. It is one of the best soundtracks of the 80s, in my opinion. This has 19 tracks. And to give you a little sample, it has Jackson Browne, Joe Walsh, Don Henley, The Go-Go's, Quarter Flash, Billy Squier, Sammy Hagar, Jimmy Buffett, and Oingo Boingo. To get that many famous artists from the 80s onto a soundtrack and a film, well, now, as big as Fast Time, it just blows my mind. I don't know many soundtracks that do that anymore. I mean, all 19 tracks, I listen to one after another. I don't even have to skip a song. This is just a complete soundtrack that belongs to a great film. And if you ever see one at a thrift store or you see one online, definitely pick this up. It's worth a listen. Boy, I'm getting hungry. Where's that pizza? Come in. Oh, hey, hon. Is that my double cheese with sausage?
Yes, why do you always order the same thing?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's nice. Mr. Hand, will I pass this class? Gee, Mr. Spicoli, I don't know.
If you like this video, click that subscribe button below. Give it a like, give it a share. Turn on the notification bell so you can stay up to date with all the news, videos, podcasts, etc. You can also follow me on Instagram at NJMovieFreak. I'd like to thank everybody out there for watching this video. If you have any questions, any comments, please post them in the comments section below and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thank you again so much for watching this, and I'll see you next time. The fan is on. You might be familiar with some of her work, such as Look Who's Talking, National Lampoon's Fast Times at Ridgemont High follows various groups of teens in their 80s, yeah. Mark Ratner takes an interest in Stacy, but then his friend Mike Damone throws a wrench into his relationship when he meets her. I didn't point to him, did I? No, I did not. I have no idea how that came out. It sounded good, but I don't think it just looked good camera-wise. Like I said earlier, it doesn't exactly go toe-to-toe with Johnny Hughes and his Woo! The credits list Cage as Nicholas Coppola. Now, if that name seems familiar, it's because he's the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola, who of course you know what I'm gonna say.